The 36 Stratagems in the Emotional Battlefield Framework. Emotional terrain, inner maneuver, micro-wins, a reformation. The 36 stratagems can be understood not only as military or political tactics, but as a map of inner strategy, a compendium of how the human mind navigates fear, uncertainty, conflict, and desire. Within the emotional battlefield framework, they become tools for recognizing patterns of thought, redirecting emotional momentum, and transforming internal states with subtlety rather than force. At their core, the stratagems reveal how emotions, like armies, move along terrain, timing, perception, and leverage. They teach that insight often outperforms intensity, and that psychological advantage can shift an entire inner landscape. What the 36 stratagems represent in inner work. Rather than a single author's doctrine, the 36 stratagems emerged from centuries of lived experience, oral tradition, and cultural memory, eventually taking shape in the late Ming or early Qing periods. Each stratagem is a compact metaphor describing how to navigate emotional storms, cognitive biases, and interpersonal dynamics with creativity and awareness. In the emotional battlefield model, these stratagems align naturally with the 8 methods. Reconnaissance, noticing emotional patterns before reacting. Terrain, choosing the psychological ground that favors clarity. Maneuver, shifting attention, posture, or narrative. Micro-wins, small actions that accumulate momentum. Coexistence, holding space for difficult emotions without collapse. Retreat, strategic withdrawal to preserve energy. Reformation, rebuilding identity and intention. Integration, returning with renewed alignment. Each stratagem becomes a lens for understanding how emotions arise, how they mislead, and how they can be redirected or transformed. The symbolism of a 36 in emotional strategy. The title originates from a line in the Book of Qi, where 36 simply meant many. But the number 6, associated with yin in the I Ching, carries deeper meaning for emotional work. Yin represents subtlety, receptivity, and the unseen. Emotional patterns often operate in the same way, quiet, habitual, and hidden in plain sight. The stratagems teach how to work with these subtle forces rather than against them. Thus, the 36 stratagems become a psychological toolkit. A way to understand the mind's hidden maneuvers and to respond with clarity, creativity, and compassion. The 36 stratagems for emotional healing. Deceive the heavens to cross the sea, act naturally while stabilizing your inner state. Deceiving the heavens to cross the sea, Man Tianguahai, is the first stratagem in the 36 stratagems, categorized under the winning strategies section. Its core logic is not merely simply deception, but rather the exploitation of human cognitive biases, specifically, our tendency to overlook the commonplace, to conceal one's true intentions while operating in plain sight. Core text and interpretation. Original text, when preparations are exhaustive, vigilance grows lax, when sights are familiar, suspicion ceases. The yin, the hidden, resides within the yang, the open, rather than standing in opposition to it. Deeper meaning, when preparations are exhaustive, vigilance grows lax, the more thorough one's defensive preparations become, the more susceptible the mind is to complacency and slackness. When sights are familiar, suspicion ceases. Things that are encountered frequently or routinely no longer arouse suspicion. The yin resides within the yang secrets, the yin are concealed within open and public actions, the yang, rather than existing in opposition to them. Strategic principle. The essence of this stratagem lies in disguising oneself as the mundane. True concealment does not involve hiding an object in a pitch-black room where nothing can be seen, rather, it involves placing it out in the open, under the sunlight, where everyone is accustomed to seeing it. By repeatedly presenting a facade of normality, one lulls the adversary into a false sense of routine, thereby enabling the execution of critical maneuvers right under their very noses. Classic historical examples. General Hiruobi crosses the river. During the Sui dynasty, the great General Hiruobi, while preparing to launch an offensive against the southern Qing dynasty, frequently led his troops to the riverbank to conduct large-scale troop rotations and military drills. Initially, the southern Qin forces were highly alarmed, maintaining full alert with weapons at the ready. However, as these maneuvers became a daily occurrence, the southern Qin troops came to view them merely as routine troop movements and ceased to maintain their defensive posture. One day, Hiruobi launched a sudden, surprise crossing of the river. Caught completely off guard, the southern Qin forces collapsed instantly. Shuirengui deceives the heavens. According to popular folklore, Emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty hesitated to launch his eastern expedition because he harbored a deep fear of traveling by sea. Shuirengui devised a ruse to entice the emperor into entering a magnificent earthen house, a structure that was, in reality, built atop a massive wooden ship. After the emperor had finished feasting and drinking inside and stepped out, he discovered that the vessel was already sailing amidst the vast, open ocean. This tale serves as the most widely cited origin story for the stratagem known as deceiving the heavens to cross the sea. Modern business case studies. Stealth acquisition. In the realm of business competition, when a large corporation seeks to acquire a target company and wishes to avoid triggering drastic stock price fluctuations or attracting the attention of regulatory bodies, it will often purchase shares in small increments over time through multiple, unrelated offshore entities or shell companies. What appears on the surface to be merely a series of scattered investments is, in reality, a covert maneuver to secure a controlling interest. The stratagem of crossing the sea under a cloak of deception is frequently confused with stealing a march on Qinsong, the eighth stratagem. Simply put, crossing the sea under a cloak of deception involves walking right past you, in plain sight, without you ever noticing, whereas stealing a march on Qinsong entails feigning a frontal assault while secretly maneuvering to attack from the rear. Drama, crossing the sea of shadows. Inspired by the stratagem, deceive the heavens to cross the sea. Act naturally while stabilizing your inner state. Characters. Lian, a young scholar struggling with depression, caught between despair and duty. The inner voice, a quiet, luminous presence that speaks truth beneath the noise. The mask, a shadow figure representing the false calm Lian wears in public. The physician of stillness, a mentor who teaches the art of invisible healing. Chorus of waves, murmuring voices of thought and emotion, sometimes soothing, sometimes overwhelming. Scene 1, The Storm Within. Dim blue light. Lian sits by a window, rain streaking down. The chorus hums softly. Chorus says. The sea is endless. The mind is deep. When the tide rises, who can breathe? Lian says, whispering. I smile at the world, but inside. The waves never stop. Every task feels like a mountain. Every morning, a battle. The mask enters, elegant and composed. Mask says. Smile. Speak clearly. No one must know the storm. Deceive the heavens, across the sea. Pretend you are fine. Lian says. Pretend? But the pretending is what drowns me. The inner voice flickers faintly, like a candle. Inner voice. Not pretend, practice. Act naturally, but anchor within. Let the surface move, keep the depth still. Scene 2, The Physician of Stillness. Warm light enters. The physician sits cross-legged, painting waves on rice paper. Physician says. Depression is not weakness, it is the sea asking for stillness. You cannot fight the ocean. You can only learn to float. Lian says. But how do I float when the current pulls me down? Physician says. Deceive the heavens to cross the sea. Outwardly, move through your day. Inwardly, breathe through the storm. Let your body act as if peace is possible. Until the heart remembers how. He gestures to the painting, waves calm around a single boat. Physician says. Each breath is a boat. Each pause is a harbor. You do not need to conquer the sea, only cross it. Scene 3, The Practice. Morning light. Lian walks through the city. The chorus hums again, softer now. Chorus. The phone rings. The seer whispers, pause. Witness yourself. Before the email, the flame bearer breathes, choose your intention. While walking, the builder says, feel your feet. Return to now. Even red lights become temples. Lian smiles faintly, breathing deeply. Lian says. I act naturally. I speak gently. I cross the sea, one breath at a time. The mask dissolves into light. The inner voice stands beside Lien. Inner voice. You have not deceived the heavens. You have deceived despair. And in doing so, you have remembered yourself. Scene 4, the calm horizon. Golden light fills the stage. The chorus sings softly. Chorus says. The sea still moves. But the traveler stands. The storm still speaks. But the heart is quiet. To act naturally is not to hide. It is to heal in motion. Lien bows toward the horizon. Lien says. I have crossed the sea. And the heavens. They were never against me. Lights fade to silver. The emotional battlefield framework, crossing the sea of shadows, is complete. The storm within, the struggle between despair and deception. The physician of stillness, the mentor painting waves of invisible healing. The crossing of breath, transformation of turbulence into light. The return to stillness, Lien walking through the world carrying calm. Thank you for watching.